Oh my gosh. We are live and in color. Yes. Bless God. Thank you all for tuning in today. Intimate Discoveries, Heart to Heart. Another dynamic show coming at you today with Golden and yours truly, the champ. Yes. We are live and in color. Come on, man. Yes. This is an amazing moment, but today we're having a wonderful couple come on today. We're going to talk about love, talk about relationship, talk about family, talk about intimate connections. In a world where conversations are truly superficial, we're going to dive deep today. We're going to truly understand and peel back the onion on what it really means to be intimate and in a relationship. This is not just some out of the park talk. This is Champ and Golden getting here and getting it in. Let's go! We're here, Golden. Ow! Let's get after it. Here we go. Because I'm a champion. Let's get after it right now, right here. Yes. Jasmine, are you there? Oh my gosh, there we go. Here we go. Live right now. Good to go. We got Golden here, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, cheering for Golden as well. Yes. Beautiful. All right, we're here. Absolutely. Well, thank you all for tuning in today. As you know, Golden and the Champ is here. Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 o'clock. You can find us on Instagram, Intimate Discoveries. And if you decide that you want to come on the show and be a part of this movement, to help individuals experience the fullness of their relationships and tap into the power of vulnerability, just shoot me a DM. Reach out to us and we get you on board. And so how's it going, Golden?
It's going well. It's rainy and ooky here, but you know what? No complaints.
No complaints. All right, good to go. Well, it's good. And so today we have, you can see we have the lovely couple on today, Jasmine and Anthony, right?
Welcome, Jasmine and Anthony.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, go ahead.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yes, and so how I met this couple, I was doing work at the polls, and they were out voting, doing their civic duties, their civic contribution. And I ran it, and I just saw Jasmine. She just had this glow. I'm like, man, your wife looks happy. He's like, yeah, man, I'm doing my thing, I said, man, you know what? I would love if you all can come on the podcast and talk about that black love. Talk about what you're doing. Because I share with Anthony, I was married 22 years, and one of the things that I want to be able to do is to help him to shine light on some of the areas in which I missed, in an effort to make sure that he doesn't miss those things, and Jasmine and continue to experience the fullness of their relationships. So how's it going, Anthony?
Honestly, it's going well. I'm blessed. I'm happy to be here, happy to be around loved ones. So
How's Wifey Wednesdays coming along?
How are they coming along?
They're coming along good.
So tell us a little bit, Go.
Wednesday.
You tell me, that's a new one.
No, I was on. No, the thing was, I was on his Instagram page, and he does something. He was doing something on his Instagram page, and Jasmine was sitting up there. He was holding her, and she looking in his eyes, and he's like, "Man, I think this is gonna end up being Wifey Wednesdays."
Oh, Women Crush Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
It was a Women Crush Wednesday post. It was just a day I wanted just to show appreciation for. Tis all.
Okay. Well, good stuff. Good stuff. And so tell us how you all met.
It depends whose story you want to hear.
Okay.
Well,
yeah, it's kind of two different versions. Okay. Let's hear the truth version. Okay, so that would be mine. Me and Anthony, we both went to Johnson C. Smith University. We attended it from 2015 to 2019. We both were RAs our sophomore year, which is resident assistants, and so that's when we like first met each other. Like the first conversation, and kind of like the friendship blossom, and then from there, we was kind of just cool with each other, not really romantically, but just like cordial. And then I'll let you take over from the.
Oh, well, yeah. Then as we were cool and cordial and whatnot, I always thought that Jazz was attractive. And so I asked her to take her out on her birthday, in which I had no money. So we went to IHOP where, I just scrounged up every nickel and dime that I could. Yeah, you wasn't there yet.
And I would say that when he asked me to go to IHOP or to go out for my birthday, I was underneath the impression that we were just going as homies, just as friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so I pushed it off for a while. Like my birthday was in August, and we didn't end up going till like towards the end of September because I thought I was going to hang out with a friend. And when we ended up going, I didn't dress up. I didn't do anything. Like I thought we was just going to go hang out as friends until we got back to my dorm room that night and like he kissed me and then he ran away. And then that's pretty much history right there. He ran away. He did. Why did he run away?
It's all a part of the strategy. If you stick around, then you just like everybody else. But if you make a elaborate exit, now I'm on her mind. She's thinking about me. Always 3 steps ahead. You got to think of the future.
Wow.
Okay, but what if, although it didn't bite you in the behind, but what if it
I actually don't see that happening.
Right.
He was just that confident, I guess.
Well,
okay.
Well, that was clever. And it worked. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, good stuff. I see y'all got how many? You all have 1 or 2 children?
2.
2?
Yeah, when you met us, we had the little one with us in the car seat. So
Mm-hmm.
this is our oldest.
And how old is that's the boy? And then
no, she's a girl.
This is a girl.
Mm-hmm. She's 2 years old, and then the youngest is 3. 3 months.
The
3 months.
Girl and a boy, or 2 girls?
2 girls.
Oh my gosh, man.
Okay. So tell us, what do you think keeps your relationship on an even keel? What keeps you two connected? Communication, I would say. And our faith.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would have to second that. I mean, I'll probably flip it in the sense of I'll put faith first and then communication second. And that's just off the strength of like when we took our vows, when we got married, we made a commitment to God before we made a commitment to like our feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So even as feelings go up and down, God is always constant. And so I would say that's the one. That's the one that kind of keeps the glue sticky.
Mm-hmm.
So what successful? How interact? Could you say that one more time? It was cutting in and out. Yeah, I'm gonna frame you. You have to put a mic in the budget, please.
Yes, we'll put a mic in the budget.
I asked, what makes your communication successful? I would say that we don't really we never get into arguments. We have conversations. We kind of both check our emotions at the door before we talk. And I mean, I'm a mental health therapist, so I think that helps too. And whenever we talk, we like make sure we're both in a good space to talk.
Mm-hmm.
If something comes up, so the conversation starts up like, hey, I have something I want to discuss you that is on the realm of this. Are you in a space to receive and to talk before we jump into a conversation? What you say?
I would say it's really important to not talk to be heard, but talk to listen. Like Jack said, emotions are going to be involved. It's always important to articulate yourself and express what you feel and what you want. But in that discussion, you have to make sure that you're listening more than you are trying to convince.
I like that.
How did y'all get like that?
My grandfather. My grandfather is a big role model. Helped me out a good bit. And I mean, even before jazz, I always wanted to be a happy old married man. So there's that personal drive of wanting to do right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I would say my upbringing, I witnessed a lot of like screaming matches between individuals, and so that's just never been like my motto. Like I was like, I'm not about to. I don't feel like I have to raise my voice to get my point across.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would say, like, me going on the career path of becoming a mental health therapist, I learned different techniques and things of how you can articulate yourself without, screaming, yelling, or getting too upset. So, a combination of that. And him. I mean, him just being as patient and as willing to listen as he is. Like, since we first started dating, we've never gotten into an argument.
Never.
Simple conversations. Not an argument. How long have you been together? We've been together since 2018. And you never had an argument? Not an argument. Difficult conversations. Yeah, so not saying that we've never disagreed. We've disagreed, but we've never been like just lashing back and forth at each other. That's impressive.
It is very impressive. I commend you all on that. So when you talk about you growing up in an argumentative family where people yell back and forth at each other, how do you manage your triggers? Is there anything that when you all are interacting with each other that you feel triggered?
Yeah, I've had moments where he says stuff and it's triggered me. And in those moments, my reaction, I am a little bit more like snappy. Not loud, but like snappy, like I have something very witty to say back quick. But over time, I've gotten better at being able to step away, take a breath, and then talk about it. So like he hears about it. Like I come back to him and be like, hey, when you said such and such, that kind of triggered me to feel this emotion.
Mm-hmm.
So that definitely still happens.
Yeah, and so when you're so when it comes to like Anthony, and managing those triggers, or when those snapping moments come, how do you handle that?
I think it boils down to what's the goal. Like even when I have conversations that are harder or more, let's say I got more stake in the game than other conversations, my goal is to never win the conversation. It's never for me to be like the better spouse. So in moments where she's triggered and she needs a break, I'm like, well, if that's what's going to help the overall team, if that's what's going to help the overall marriage, then it's like I'm okay with her allowing that time. And then vice versa. There's moments where I need like the space or I need a breath or whatever. So, and I think it's like all right, Anthony, yeah, your emotions are high, but like that's not helping the situation. That's not solving the problem. That's not getting us forward in any way.
And I would say we've had our challenges with that, like getting to the point where we both are able to do it very well. We still have hiccups every once in a while, but kind of like you're saying, like something I wasn't used to is like a person just kind of walking away. Like I'm kind of like when I have a problem, I want to address it right then. I want to talk right then. Like we can go ahead and have the conversation. And for him, he does need more of like I need more time to process and then come back and talk. And at first, that was kind of like I feel like to me, I internalized it if you're walking away from the problem, but in reality, it's like, no, I'm checking my emotions before I step into that type of conversation. So like it's been a work in progress.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it sounds like the two of you found out how to manage your conflict resolution, and you understand your triggers. And so, Anthony, how do you handle your trigger?
That's a great question. I do go to therapy. That's been a big help. That's a tough one. I mean, outside of therapy, I don't think I was handling my triggers well at all. Like there's been, I mean, of course, again, emotions are emotions. We all have them. And if Jazz ever said anything about it, I tend to resort to a like performance-based coping mechanism. So like if she says something like, oh, it offends me that such and such wasn't done, I'm like, well, I'm going to have to be the best at it. Or it's like, I'm going to create a whole system or a whole program that's going to have this problem eradicated from day one. But now through therapy, I'm able to like address the emotions and not try to just disassociate as much, which has kind of been helpful for communication. So I'm able to not just complain and whine about it, but to articulate, to be like, hey, I understand that I upset you when this happened, but these were my feelings, this was my reasoning, and this is why I did what I did. And we're able to kind of compromise and make a plan together rather than me just doing everything all on my own.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like the two of you have really worked on a partnership in terms of resolving whatever you have instead of trying to, figure everything out. You work together. That's inspiring. Wow. And so to be so young and that you're managing it so well. I applaud those.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Like I said, we have our days though.
And it's still
still
learning.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that when you all, let me say it this way here, you all have a lot of similarities with my marriage when I was married, right? We had two daughters. Well, we still have two daughters. And she's a licensed marriage and family therapist. And,
wow.
yes, and that's one of, and so the thing for me that really drives it, and you all know that I'm divorced, right? I was married 22 years. I was at the 3-year mark where you all are. Where we like I can answer all the good questions, right? I have the really good responses, but there was something missing. And and like I say, you all are on a really great path. You all have you have a beautiful family. Y'all have good communication, and the point of this conversation is I want you all we want you all to have fantastic relationships. We want you all to understand that you all can have a great marriage throughout, right?
Right.
Golden, she was married. Her husband just passed away last year, and tell us. You can share a little bit insight, Golden, if you want to.
So I was married 32 years. Yeah, my late husband passed away last September, and like the of you, it wasn't always. We had to learn how to navigate and empathize and understand, and sometimes you have to. A lot of times you have to choose your battles, and so and I although I'm not a man, a lot of times I would win those battles. That was who he was. But, just finding a common ground when you are in a relationship. And so when you understand that communication is always key. I've always felt that communication is always key and being in the mental health field, which also helps as well. But, just finding that natural common ground, you both agree that if you can't communicate, you're not going to get anywhere. You are not going to. And I've always said, everybody on this earth needs a therapist. I believe it should be a requirement. I believe it should be 100% a requirement. If you're single, if you're married, for whatever reason, everyone should seek therapy. Mm-hmm. Just to talk. If you feel you have no issues, which is not true, everybody is carrying something. We're all carrying baggage. We're all carrying some type of trauma. So it's wonderful how you two actually work at it. Seems like you're working hard, adding 2 babies on top of it as each. Wow. I think you are doing an awesome job. Keep up your work. Awesome work.
And like Anthony said earlier, like on top of communication, one of the biggest things is our faith. Like we understand that we took on this marriage in front of God. And so we make sure that we put God in front of all decisions that we make, and we pray about everything. And even pray for each other sometimes. It's like, God, let Anthony please hear what I'm trying to say.
But prays together, stays together. And
we definitely try our best to do that. And we have some good marital relationships around us too. Wonderful. That's also stemmed from our church. So like we join marriage groups inside our church. We've created a community there. We even host a marriage group for younger couples. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Nice. So yeah, and it seems like you two have awesome role models. That you follow, such like my parents, they were married over 60-something years. And I know a lot of times it was hard on them, and it's 9 of us. So I have 8 siblings. And so, I know, and there were some arguments and not dragged out, but you know what? Somehow they made it work.
The funny thing about it is me and Anthony both come from single parent households. So we both only have like our mother. We both went through a period of having stepdads. But Anthony had his grandparents. How long were they married?
Forever.
Did they make it to 50 years?
I think my grandpa passed right before they hit their 50th. But
so he had his grandparents his whole entire life. That was kind of a big role model, like stepping into this relationship. That's one of the things he talked to me about like, my grandparents have a really good marriage, and I aspired to have that one day. And then I kind of just found not your traditional role models, but like community and building a community around me to kind of help me be a good wife, because I didn't see what that was growing up. Like I didn't know what that was. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the question is that how do you all define intimacy?
You want to go first?
How do you define intimacy?
Yes. What's your definition of intimacy?
I have to say vulnerability. I feel like that's a cheap answer though.
Mm-hmm.
I would say intentional time with each other.
Well, there's no wrong or right into how you interpret intimacy.
For me, it would be intentional time with each other. So, I mean, we talked about this before. Like, yes, we're in the same living room watching TV together, but are we like intentionally watching this together, discussing, enjoying each other's time? Or are we both sitting here just on our phones while the TV is playing? So, for me, it's definitely like intentional time with each other.
Uh-huh. And that's good. And so one of the goals that I wanted to achieve here is to make sure that you all both had an understanding, the same understanding of what intimacy is, right? And because when you all are talking, that's an intimate moment. Like you were saying, vulnerability is the birthplace of intimate relationships. You all probably can't see it up there, but that's what it is up there. It says vulnerability is the birthplace for intimate relationships. And so if you can't be vulnerable, then you can't be intimate. Right? And so we define intimacy as a commitment. Intimacy is the level of commitment, positive, affective, cognitive, and physical closeness that one experiences with a partner in a reciprocal relationship. And so one of the things that we have to understand is that reciprocity is non-negotiable. That you have to reciprocate, and when that reciprocity happens, that reciprocity has to happen in a positive experience.
Now, question.
Go ahead.
As you express how things need to be reciprocated, can you elaborate on like how that can manifest in a particular relationship? Because when you say reciprocate, I'm thinking like the same thing done back. So like as Jazz just stated, she likes intentional like us time.
Mm-hmm.
Would she expect to give me the same if that's what she wants, or is it like would she provide like my definition of intimacy, or how like can you just kind of elaborate on
beautiful that is so that's why we're here, because there are 4 variations of intimacy. Intimacy is first, the lowest level is cognitive intimacy, where you just exchanging thoughts. So when Jasmine is talking and she's let's say she's talking about baking cakes, like cooking, right? She's telling you, I like, cooking or whatever. And then you start talking about football. That's not a reciprocal conversation. That's not a true reciprocity. Because if she's talking to you about cooking, then you have to go on the inside of you and reciprocate. Find something to reciprocate that's in connection with the cooking, right? Whereas you like, you know what? Oh, baby, I remember what you were talking about. I understand about cooking. I never cooked those hot dogs like that before, right? Because that's that commitment that I'm going to reciprocate, and I'm going to make sure that I keep our conversations positive, right? I don't like that kind of cooking, right? That's not the commitment that we want you all to have. Is that when she's coming to me, talking to me about something, because I've gone to therapy, I can now sit here and make that true reciprocity, right? That's the lowest level of intimacy, is cognitive intimacy. So you also have to understand that when you're talking to that when you come in to Jasmine, that we're about to have an intimate exchange, right? So we got to have that safe space where we can be vulnerable, like you and you all are doing this thing, right? I just want to increase your awareness that you all are actually engaging in an intimate conversation, an intimate relationship, right? So we like, I got to make sure that I'm not violating our relationship by not paying attention, right? And then so the next level is spiritual intimacy, where you all are, that God in the life, and then again we're praying with each other, praying for each other. We're talking about God, and then again we talking about God. You don't start talking about the NFL, right? Talking about Super Bowl Sunday or whatever, right? Because this is that moment of exchange that we want to make sure that we're communicating and we're understanding it. And so the next level is emotional intimacy, where we're exchanging feelings, right? Deeply rooted in self-disclosure. Like, I feel like this. And this is you when you were talking the other day, you made me feel this way, or I feel like you're not listening to me, right? And then you're able to again like and to say, well, I don't feel like you talking to me, you don't hear me. But that's not the positive response in that particular situation. And so
I
go ahead.
for the view of you. I wanted to see what you think about this. So you have two small children.
Yes.
And both of you are working. You come home. The baby isn't feeling well. Your 3-month-old isn't feeling well. Your toddler is running around wanting attention into things. But in the meantime, the two of you come together. You're both frustrated and exhausted. But one of you has something that you need to talk about. How do you handle those situations when there's so much fatigue, stress going on, and you have a baby, and then your toddler is running around, you're both tired? How do you meet in the middle?
Well, I will say, I think one thing that is beneficial for us is we run on a schedule. Thanks to Anthony. So there is a certain time of the night, actually like right now, the house is shut down. We still have a little bit more energy to go into the night. We normally go to bed with like 11 o'clock. We don't really lay down until like 11. But toddler's in bed, baby's kind of just hanging around with us around 8:30. So like the house is shut down. And this is normally when we have our time to like either watch a movie that we wasn't able to watch while toddler was around, or decompress from the day, shower, things of that sort. So typically, if we have something that we want to discuss, I like to encourage us to have conversations while moving. That's kind of like the therapist in me. It's easier to have difficult conversations when you're doing something that doesn't take your focus off. It just helps get the words to flow out easier and kind of helps you be able to process easier. So like maybe like over washing dishes or folding clothes or something like that.
I would say it very much so depends on what the topic at hand is. Just kind of like assessing the urgency of it. Because kind of what Jazz is saying, if I come home and baby is not feeling well and Tyler's going wild, that's not the best space of vulnerability, especially knowing Jazz. I can probably imagine she's already overwhelmed as is. So if it's like an important issue, as in like I need to talk about it, I'll most certainly give her a little notice of like hey, there's something I'd like to talk to you about. But out of respect of her and the situation, it's like, you gotta handle business. Now, of course, if it's like a drop everything, this is important, then again, it's gonna be like a Jazz, we need to drop everything. This is important.
Thank you.
But especially if baby's not feeling well, not too many things rank higher than that.
Yeah.
So I'll make sure that one's taken care of.
But I would say like us being on our schedule helps out a lot for us to have time to talk to each other. Mm-hmm. I value that a lot, of like us having moments of just us every day. So yeah.
And go ahead, Golden.
What advice would you give to young couples in terms of helping to better communicate with each other and to discover? Because a lot of people do not understand the power and the stages of intimacy.
I would say my advice would be, don't assume he knows, over-explain. And I say that because sometimes frustration and arguments and things come up because we assume that just because this person is this close to us, they should automatically know everything. And that's not always the case. Like if there's something that you need or something that you want from your significant other, if you never tell them, they're never going to know to do it. If it's something that they're doing that is bothering you, if you do not blatantly say like, hey, when this happens, this bothers me, they're not going to know. Like they genuinely could unintentionally be hurting your feelings. So don't assume, say.
And when it comes to communicating, I think a lot of people overlook this in any aspect. It's not just about how well you can say what you mean, but it's how well you can make sure your audience understands what you're saying. I know a lot of times people, it's not a right or wrong. I would say like at this point in the game, it's not like if I have a feeling I'm wrong or right for having that feeling, but how I express it, if you don't understand it, then it's not going to really benefit anybody. So when you are communicating, like you're saying, not making assumptions, over explaining, but be conscious and very intentional about having your audience understand. Because otherwise you're just like, you made me upset for XYZ, and then it's like they don't understand what XYZ truly really is. They're going to redo it unintentionally. So but that takes skills. That takes humility. I would say that at most. It's like that means you really have to sit down with yourself to make sure, like, hey, what am I saying? Why am I saying it? How am I saying it? Because I need to make sure that the person I'm talking to is fully understanding what I'm saying and not just getting the back end of all my emotions.
And sometimes that takes follow-up conversations. Like every conversation isn't going to be resolved in one day. I think that's another issue too. It's like people assume that, okay, when I say it, then the problem should be done with. And that's not always going to be the case. It may take a couple of conversations and it may take a while for the problem to be resolved.
Okay. So, yeah, you all are doing such a great job, right? I'm extremely proud of you all. I'm the part that for me,
such a young couple. It's amazing.
It is amazing. Which is why I wanted you all on the podcast, because I saw the love like you always share with each other, and the genuine connection that you all had, and how Anthony was like caring for you, and he's like holding hands, and I'm like, oh my gosh, these guys. And so I talked about 3 variations of intimacy, right? I talked about cognitive intimacy, spiritual intimacy, emotional intimacy. And then the 4th one is sexual intimacy, which is at the top which is the top, right? And I know that Jasmine, you're familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so, in order for vulnerability to exist, we have to have that safe space, right? And in order to experience a sense of loving and belonging, that safe space has to be there, right? And so one of the things that we did was that we aligned cognitive intimacy, emotional intimacy, and sexual intimacy along Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And sexual intimacy is at the top, right? And so, and if you're looking at yours, as we going up the hierarchy, and if we're having sex, and we're not engaged in emotional intimacy and cognitive intimacy, then what do you think happens? What do you think happens?
I mean, now you're dealing with the perversion activity of it. It's not going to hit the same. It's not going to satisfy the needs like it needs to. Kind of like, McDonald's fries versus steak. Like, I mean, yeah, it's going to feel good for a hot moment, but one has more macronutrients. It's going to build muscle a whole lot better than the other.
And you're absolutely right. And so, oftentimes, I didn't understand emotional intimacy, primarily because I grew up in a drug house, and people didn't care about my feelings and emotions. And so when it was time for me to reciprocate, I didn't have that emotional vocabulary to give to her in exchange. So for many years, right, I went through violating my relationship, not knowing that that's what I was doing. And because I dealt with a lot of trauma, right? And then when it came to triggers and not being able to communicate those triggers, it is something that really inspires me to have these conversations, especially with young couples, so that you understand that we gotta be vulnerable. We have to be able to share, right? So what are your thoughts about that, Anthony?
I mean, it makes sense. As I've been kind of growing and studying and learning, I've realized that not only is like sexual intimacy at the top, but it's also the personification of all of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
In order to like really get involved with like what sex is and all the wonders of it, you really have to exercise all of the other forms of intimacy, right? Like there's going to have to be a conversational piece to it. Like you shouldn't be jumping into sex without a conversation, or at least being comfortable enough to have conversations during. There's like the emotional side of it, where there's just like, the pouring into one another, but also be able to express like what you do like, what you don't like, and that even in that conversation, understanding that like humility is a part of it as a partner receiving, be able to put yourself to the side to care for the needs of the other. And then spiritually, right? I mean, it's a lot, right? Like that's you really pouring your whole self into somebody else. So you need to be able to kind of grasp that to really get the magnitude of what sex is. And so, I mean, it's dope. I like it. I think God really did one with making that. But it's still something to be learned and studied to make sure that I'm honoring it the right way.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You have a question, Golden? Okay. All right. So, go ahead.
Question.
Huh? You have a comment?
I don't have a question.
Okay. All right. So again, it's important to make sure that we have that you all have that safe space, and to be able to have those moments where if someone has something that they want to talk about, it could be Anthony have something that's important to him, right? And that we, instead, I know we have that mindset that we can talk while we're moving, right? Then what if it how do we come to the point where we say, hey, listen, this is important, I need you to stop right now?
That's a good one. So like big pressing issue. Is this like a positive pressing or a negative?
No, it doesn't matter, because again, if you're, so when it comes to love languages, right, how do you all do you know each other's love language?
Do you know my love language?
Mm-hmm. Words of affirmation.
Yep.
Right.
Very nice. Mm-hmm.
Has it?
It hasn't changed. It's the same. It's what you think it is.
Acts of service? Okay, cool.
Right. So and that's good that you all understand those things. And so just thinking about his love language being words of affirmation, right? And you're like da da da, you're not giving those words, right? Because you're like all over the focus someplace else, right? And not giving them that direct conversation.
Yeah, we have ways that we make sure we still give each other our feed into each other's love languages. Like, so I leave notes on the mirror in the bathroom. He leaves me notes too. We've left little sticky notes everywhere. It actually was like an activity inside one of our match groups. Mm-hmm. We got real competitive with it though, so there might be some notes hidden that we ain't found yet. Mm-hmm. But I mean, we have conversations like when he comes and he expresses something to me, I'm very intentional of making sure that he hears how I feel about it. So like if he tells me something happened at work, I make sure I say out of my mouth like, I'm proud of you. That's good, because I know his love language is words of affirmation. And then when he comes home, he likes, okay, what do you need me to jump in to help? Like wash dishes, take out trash, and doing things without me having to ask those little things. So we definitely make sure we still feed into each other's love languages. I would say the conversations where we're moving, those are mostly like pertaining to those difficult ones, and the movement is
mostly something that is not going to take our focus away. So if like I'm cooking something I haven't cooked before, that wouldn't be something I would do. It might look like going on a walk, incorporating a walk into it, or a drive, or me and him actively doing something together where we're kind of facing each other. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense. Mm-hmm.
I'm with Golden. You all should be extremely proud of yourselves.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm talking about extremely proud of yourselves because you all are on a really good path. And it just swells my heart that we were able to stop by and check on you all, right? Because the thing is that I was married for 22 years. At year 3, I had really good answers too, right? She can, she's the help me, she's the neck, and she can turn the head, whatever, whatever it was, right? But for some reason, like Saul, right, there was a small deviation. It wasn't a big deviation, but he's, ended up killing, God told him to go and kill everybody, right? Don't take anything. And he ended up bringing some of the spoils back, taking the wives and everything else. And God, like, dude, I wish I never put you in charge of stuff. And it's like, what have I done wrong, Lord? I've done everything you told me to do. But it was that small deviation that ended up causing him, to disobey God. And that's where, I want to make sure that we have those conversations. Because it's just that small little shift in some place, and that's what keeping you all aware of those things is really important, because what you all have is something that's so special.
Yeah, I would say one of the things I have to say is that community and prayer, honestly, like being able to pray together, having that in common, and we both value it the same amount helps a lot. And then also just having a real good community. Like I have wives that I can go to and be like, okay, guys, like I need some advice with this. And he has other godly husbands that he can go to and be like, this is happening right now, like help me. And they are older than us, and they've been in the game longer than us, so that helps too.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't like to be checked. Like, I know we always like to throw the word accountability, and I think we just take that word as like buddies on the journey, but like real accountability is having someone who's going to call you out, someone who's going to like tell you you're wrong, and you have to respect that person enough in the midst of all your feelings. Perfect example. When early, before we at the church that we are now, we was at a church, and the pastor was leaving, and so now we're, whoa, he didn't tell me about that. We'll talk about that later.
Huh?
What are you doing, Franklin?
No, my thing moved. I'm sorry.
Oh, we'll talk about that.
What happened?
He a Catholic.
Yeah.
You okay with me being a Catholic?
You say, am I okay?
He just think you chose the wrong one.
Oh, okay. Well, bless God. Bless God. Right?
But as I was saying, so we was searching for a church home, and that's when our two differences started to come head to head. I was like, Jazz, I mean, first off, we was like, we're married, so we need to be in one church, right? Like, we need to find a pastor that's going to feed our home, something that we can get behind, because we're a unit. And Jazz was saying, like, I want a church like this. I was saying, I need a church like this. And we were just going back and forth. And honestly, I called my grandma, and I swore my grandma had my back. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. I was like, we're going to call up my grandma because she's the most saved woman we know. And she's going to tell you exactly that you need to listen to me. But when I called my grandma, she was like, Anthony, you're wrong. That's not how this needs to happen. Y'all need to boop-a-doop-a-dop-a-dop-a-dee. And I mean, again, felt betrayed. I was like, you're my grandma. Why did you have my back? But I was like, you know what? Grandma's grandma for a reason. She has wisdom. She's wise. I don't care how I feel in the moment. I'm going to put my emotions aside. We're going to do what's best for the marriage. And then we stumbled upon the church that we are now, and it's
actually a mixture of both of what we was asking for. Like there was nothing we could find. We wasn't finding anything in Charlotte that like fit us. So Anthony, he comes from mega churches. I'm from the country, so I don't know nothing about going to no mega church. I like little small intimate spaces where the pastor knows my whole family. And so it was becoming a real challenge of like we cannot find what we're both looking for in Charlotte. But lo and behold, after having that conversation with his grandma, she kind of checked both of us in it, though, not just you. She checked both of us in that conversation and praying about it. There was actually a whole new church that came to Charlotte that opened up in Charlotte, and we ended up going there and falling in love the first day.
Wow. May I ask what church you attend?
Yeah, it's Union Church, Charlotte.
Union Church. Okay, because my son and his girlfriend, they're in their 20s, like you, very young. They're both looking for church.
Yeah, we absolutely loved it. It's a branch from Baltimore, so like the main church is in Baltimore. Union, and then they branched off. And then they branched off and opened one in Charlotte. But Charlotte it isn't like, you know how you go to churches and you watch on the screen the main pastor? It isn't like that. Like Charlotte has its own pastor, Pastor Brian. So we like see an actual pastor in person every day. We actually own like teams at the church, and he works close right beside the pastor's wife and stuff. So it was actually really cool. So we both was able to get what we wanted. Like I wanted the intimacy, and then he wanted like all the programs and the extra stuff that came with church. So we both getting that.
Yeah. So you met in the middle.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Compromise goes a long way.
Collaboration goes even further.
Absolutely. All of that goes hand in hand, but understanding it, that's the big, that is the catch, is understanding all of that and bringing it all together. Yeah. So, wow. I have no advice for you two. Because it appears that you got this. You have got this.
You really do. You really do.
My heart, the two are going to be together until the test of time.
Absolutely.
That's the plan. I always said, once I marry, you stuck with me. Good luck getting away.
and again, the advice that I would have for you all is to continue to do the maintenance. Right? Do the maintenance. Like this here is maintenance. This conversation is maintenance. And so getting them, huh?
What Anthony is doing is maintenance.
Right.
He's saying up there, that's
right.
You know, talking about, you know, your days and just going through the day and understanding each day your communication gets stronger and better. That's maintenance. That's putting in the work.
And still dating each other.
Absolutely.
Because we definitely still date each other. We try to stay away from like getting too complacent and forgetting to take each other out. We started doing, what is it called? The 7. It's like when you go on a small date every 7 days, and then once a month you go on like a weekend thing. And
777.
Is it? It's something like that. I can't remember actually.
7-7.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
7-7-7. So every 7th day you go on a small day, then you go on a weekend day. So what's the other one?
A mini vacation.
A mini vacation.
Mm-hmm.
There.
So we haven't gotten there. We're only doing the 7 days dating because of the new baby. But eventually we'll get to the vacation.
Right. Without the kids, right? Yeah. But even that's important. You know, just finding that quality time, just even if it's like 20 minutes or 30 minutes as a couple without put the kids down, or, you know, it's okay to place them in breast, as they say, television is the new babies. But sometimes in order to just kind of regroup We have to put the kids, we have to put ourselves first.
We do have a real good support. I would say that they have a real good godmother. Shout out to her. So she will take them off our hands so that we can spend some quality time for each other. Like not too long ago, we went to Frankie's to play games and and we ate in the car afterwards, and then came back and picked the girls up. So
yeah, and shout out to our marriage couples as well.
Yeah,
a really big community. I mean, it does take a village. I think a lot of people kind of overskip that. But, I mean, that's a whole other conversation on how to pick your village and what that means. But we most certainly lean on them, and we appreciate them.
Because babysitting in daycare is not cheap.
No.
Well, the other thing that just to also take into consideration that you can actually have a date in the house, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm gonna get dressed up. I'm gonna cook, and I'm gonna whatever y'all want to do. Right. This is our moment. We're gonna have the kids in the bed 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, or whatever. But we can have our date. We can get dressed up. We're gonna set our little mood here. We got the candles and creating that intentional moment, right?
We're very much movie people. I would not suggest watching a movie with us because we like to dissect it. I don't think it'll be a good time. But since we are such good movie people, that is something that we do. We do find time to okay, after everybody goes to bed, we sit down and we watch a movie together.
Right.
And that's a great thing. Absolutely, creativity. Absolutely. Well, Golden, do y'all have anything else y'all want any questions for us?
Yeah. So with your expertise, with you guys' wisdom and history, what would you say young couples need to be on the lookout for in terms of communication as the years go on? So being young, we totally respect it, we totally get it. We know we don't have all the answers, but that's something I think about. It's like how does communication evolve, or how does it need to evolve as years go on?
And go ahead. You go first, Golden.
I would say as years go on, you will see that your communication is evolving. You are on the right. As your children get older, you will see that the dynamics between you evolve, because being a mom and raising 5, children will play you, and they will play you against each other. So whatever you do, whatever you say, stick together. What mom says, that's what dad says. What dad says, that's what mom says. And just let the kids know, especially teenagers. They get older, you will see that the frustration that comes along with the lessons, a teenager, so much stress into a relationship. But have your conversations. Never allow your children to see you two at odds. So there's okay, parents argue. That's fine, because we don't live in a perfect world, and our children. There's healthy argument, and then there's unhealthy fighting. So let your children see, mom and dad. We disagree. We may have our argument, but we're working it out, coming together. But have your differences between the two of you, not with your children, and never involve your children in those differences, because they're children.
Yeah.
You need to know of it, and you two have to be on the same accord. My advice,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, and so my advice to you all is that you make sure you have that safe space. You have to have that safe space in the relationship where you can tell your truth, Anthony, and then Jasmine, you can tell your truth. And his truth is his truth, right? Because his grandfather taught him all that stuff, right? And he trusted his grandfather in all of those moments, right? And so that's what his truth was. And it's okay that that's his truth. And in the same thing with Jasmine, that's your truth, right? And both of those truths can reside in the same house. right? I'm not going to try to override Jasmine's truth, and Jasmine's not going to try to override Anthony's truth, because truth be told, when all of this, you weren't there when his grandfather and him had ice cream and they were talking about different stuff. You weren't there. So to tell him that he's wrong is like, my grandfather, he told me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's one thing. And then the second thing that I this is something that I've adopted is I don't look for reason. I don't disagree with people. I don't disagree. So whatever they're saying is in their lives. That's their life. I don't care. That's your life. You can say whatever you want to say. I'm going to look for a reason to agree with you. And again, that's how you see it. And that, amen. Bless God. But I'm not going to sit there and disagree with you, because that's not my place. So look for reasons to agree. Right? When she's talking, you're listening, and vice versa. I'm looking for a reason to agree, because you're telling me is the truth. You're telling me how you feel and how that hurt you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't really see that. And that's okay that you didn't see it, because you're not perfect. Right? And then now you're like, oh my God, that triggered you again. Oh my God, I'm sorry. And then when you know that you're committed and she's committed, and I can come talk to her about anything, and she can come talk to me about anything, oh my God, that level of closeness that you all will continue to grow, and over years, like, oh my gosh, I know, like, man, I'm gonna go talk to my wife. I'm gonna talk to my husband, because I already know when she knows I'm telling him the truth, and he knows I'm telling her the truth, and so I'm good, right? Because at the end of the day, most of those arguments that you all are arguing about is already done. It's already finished. It's already, and most times it's gonna go in the trash anyway. Right?
So being able to respect each other's perspective.
Beautiful. Absolutely.
But also you have to remember that sometimes when you disagree, sometimes it's okay to agree to disagree.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, when you disagree with each other and you may not see, for whatever reason, you may not see eye to eye, and you may feel the way that you feel and he may feel the way that he feels, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
That is okay. And you walk away and you're like, you know what, babe? I can respect that you feel that way, but I'm going to have to disagree with you. And leave it at that. Because at the end of the day, as my mom used to say, she would say, sweetheart, it's not a life.
It's not a life.
Like, really, what are you, is it that deep that you be so mad with your husband? Right. It's not a life.
Absolutely. And that point right there is why I don't disagree with people, because it's not a life, and it's not my life. It's not my life. It ain't happening to me. Because when I get ready to do something, I'm doing it how I want to do it. Right? I see it how I see it, and if it's not a life, it's not illegal, immoral, unethical, cause self-harm or harm to others, bless God.
It's okay. So, like I said earlier, choose your battles. Mm-hmm. And most of the time, the battles that you're arguing over or disagreeing about, you think about it, it's like, that was so ridiculous. Once you actually think about it, you understand that it really was not that deep. Right. And so you just, let's get on with life. Let's get on with life. And looking back at things, because we all may say something or do something that makes the other person, and learn how to say, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, but not only just sorry, understand why you are saying you are sorry, why you are. Because if you truly are sorry, you understand what you did wrong to her.
Right.
So there's nothing wrong with saying and having that safe space, having that emotional safe space for each other.
And with that, thank you, Golden. Thank you, Jasmine, Anthony. Thank you all for sharing your time with us, bringing your heart to here so we can touch your heart. Right.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
So again, you two are a phenomenal couple.
Thank
you are fresh air. So keep up the phenomenal work.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
All right.
Bless.
Thank you all so much. Take care. All right.
All
right. Bye. Way to go, Golden.
Way to go.
Wow. They are really on their way.
They are. They're great. Sweet couple.
Yes.
Oh my. I have to tell my son and his girlfriend about their church because I know they are looking for a church home. So Ethan, if you're watching, you and Hannah.
Mm-hmm. What it was Unity Church?
Charlotte Church? Charlotte Unity Church?
Charlotte Unity, yes.
Charlotte Unity, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it sounds like a young church.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I wish them all the best.
We do the same.
9:07. I guess we have to shut it down.
Shut it down. All right. Well, thanks again. Remember, tune in Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 o'clock with Golden and the Champ.
And practice that gig. Practice grace, intentional, and gentle.
And with that note, we'll see you on Wednesday. Champ and Golden are out. Ow!